Are you struggling with writing your statement of purpose for graduate school? In this video, I share with you 2 tips that will help your statement of purpose stand out from the crowd. Hey, what's up guys? My name is Aaron Valdovinos, and on this channel I provide tips, tricks, advice, and strategies for your graduate school applications. So if you are new here, consider subscribing. Tip number 1 is to quantify your stories. So your stories must contain measurable quantities instead of just stories, so that the reader can understand the depth of your experiences. Let's look at an example. During my engineering days, I helped a local NGO by joining as a math tutor, where I taught basic math concepts to school children. So this example is actually not that bad, but it leaves the reader wondering a couple of things. So it leaves me as a reader wondering, what do you mean by during my engineering days? Does this mean that you're a current engineer? Does this mean that you are currently in undergraduate school as an engineer? Like, what does that mean? So I want to know more. I also want to know, which local NGO are you speaking about? Some NGOs hold more weight than others, some are more well known than others, and by us as readers knowing which NGO it is, it's gonna help provide more context than just writing a local NGO. I also want to know, what basic math did you teach? So be detailed in terms of exactly what type of math in this case you taught. And then I also want to know, what does school children mean? Does this mean kindergartners? Does this mean 5th graders? Does this mean 3rd graders? Give me exactly who was the range of students that you taught. So that's what it means to quantify your stories. We want to know more. We want to be able to see numbers. We want to be able to see results and how you yielded those results. And so a great way to do that is to quantify, to provide numbers, to provide more context, to provide more depth. And now let's look at the improved example that's quantifiable. During my 2nd year of engineering, I joined Teach Math, a local NGO where I was part of the math tutoring team. For a period of 10 months, I taught basic math like algebra, geometry, and arithmetic to more than 30 5th and 6th grade students. And every single student I taught secured an A in math that year. I've never been prouder in my life. So do you see the difference here? Now we know that this person is a 2nd year of engineering. So I'm thinking that this person has been in engineering for 2 years, in the field of engineering for 2 years, and it gives me more context. It tells me like, okay, this person has gone through at least 1 year of engineering, so this person has experience in this field. They also tell me the name of the NGO, so Teach Math, that's what it's called. Personally, I don't know what Teach Math is, but if you are applying for, let's say, an engineering or a math graduate school program, they might know what Teach Math is, so it's going to provide more context, more information, and more relevancy to the field because they provided the name of the NGO. The person also taught for a period of 10 months. 10 months shows us as a reader, as a committee, commitment. This person is working with these school children for 10 months. So this person is not only committed to their professional work, but also to giving back to the community. And it shows us that they're committed, which in graduate school, especially if you're applying for a PhD program, for example, you have to commit to 5+ years of schoolwork and research. And so by this person writing in that they can manage 2 different commitments, not only their professional work, but also their volunteer experience. It shows us as a community that they're committed to others and to fulfilling a need, a gap, and that they are going to be able to potentially finish a PhD program. Then they also tell us what basic math they taught. So they taught algebra, geometry, arithmetic. So this is a good insight because it provides us as readers with information that this person is knowledgeable about math because they can teach math. And so we know that they can teach algebra, geometry, and arithmetic, at least at a basic level. So we know that they have some expertise within the math world. They also tell us that they taught 30 5th and 6th grade students. So if this person was applying to, let's say, a STEM education PhD program and they want to improve STEM education for school children, this is a great statement that this person wrote, because for one, we know that this person can manage 30 students, and then again, we know that they can work with 5th and 6th graders, so the upper levels of elementary schooling. So that's great for the context again. Then this person goes ahead and tells us that every student in his group secured an A that year. This tells us a lot because it's telling us that this person can yield results through teaching. And if this person wants to be an academic, a professor, then we know that this person does well with teaching and can help their students learn and achieve good grades, good results. So I hope that you can see how quantifying your statement of purpose examples can be great assets to providing more context, but also to help the reader fill in those gaps, because as a reminder, initially the committee is only going to be able to kind of assess your work, assess your application based on the documents that you submit. So don't let them assume things. You want to tell them directly exactly what you mean by every statement that you provide, and the best way to do that is to quantify your stories. The next tip that I want to provide is to write stories, not statements. So what does this mean? So storytelling evokes emotion, and it emotionally connects the reader to the applicant. Like I mentioned previously, the committee is only going to be able to assess your work based on paper and based on writing. So the best way to connect with this committee and humanize your documents is by trying to evoke emotions, and you do this by writing stories. Stories also bring those humanly feelings out of you and involves you in its storyline. Committee members also remember stories much easier than they remember statements, because stories connect people and statements do not. And so I want you to go back, revise your statement of purpose, and try to evoke that emotion. Try to, tell your story through words. That way someone can feel something on the other end. That's going to be the best way for the reader to connect with you, but also for the reader to remember you, and that's going to help your statement of purpose stand out. If you're just writing statements and you're just reiterating your resume or CV, that's not going to be a good thing, because the committee's only going to gloss over your statement of purpose. They're not going to remember who you are, what you stand for, and what your mission and vision is for graduate school. So try to do your best to write stories that evoke emotion versus writing statements that are bland and boring. So let's look at an example. So here's an example of a statement, not a story. I used to work in a multinational software company in the development team, and I had to do the same job every day. Code stuff. There was nothing new for me to learn at work, and there was nothing very exciting about going to the office. One day, I decided that I had to get out of there, so I applied to college to study higher courses and get a better job. So this statement is not that bad, but it definitely needs work. Right now, obviously it's sounding like a statement, like I don't get no emotion out of it. All I really get is the applicant here, they're kind of complaining about their job, which is not a good thing. So don't complain about your experiences or about your challenges. Try to write your challenges in a positive manner, but I don't really get much from this. I learned that he is a coder, that he works long hours and is tired of his job, and went back to school to learn how to improve his skill sets to potentially get a new job. That's all I really get. No emotion, nothing, and I probably won't remember this once I am done reading it. Let's look at the revised example. Late in the night one Monday, I had found myself in the middle of a deserted office and 15,000 lines of code. Full of caffeine in my bloodstream and an empty life beyond my office, I realized that the computer started coding my brain and controlling my life. No longer wanting to let the machine feed on me, I decided that college would be my salvation. So do we see the major improvement here? Now this is a story. It's evoking emotion for me, and if I was in the coding world, I can definitely understand what the person is saying, and I can relate to the reader. To the writer. And so I learned here that this person has been working late hours every Monday or every week, every day of the week, and they have coded thousands and thousands and thousands of lines of code. And so all this pressure, all this work that they have been putting into coding, into their company, has led them to burn out. And they use a lot of imagery, a lot of similes and metaphors to write what they feel, how they feel about their work, and why that led them to go back to school to be able to maybe change careers, improve careers, or move up in the corporate world, whatever it is that the goal is of this writer. But you see how it evokes emotion. You see how I can see this person in his office or her office, and how they are writing all this line of code and they're tired of it. So you see that versus how the first one was just telling me statements and I didn't really get to picture that. So I want you to go back and revise your statement of purpose paragraphs and make them sound like a story. Make the reader picture you in these settings, in these experiences. That's it for today's video. I hope you enjoyed the video and learned something new, and hopefully you can improve your statement of purpose based on these 2 tips. Please subscribe and like this video. Share this video with a friend, and I will see you in the next video.